Hey everybody, I'm Joe Killinger. I'm a real estate investor and entrepreneur, and we put these videos together every week to give you all the tips and insights from my experience over the last several years. So make sure you tune in and subscribe, and thank you. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Today is really geared towards first-time investors and I guess first-time real estate agents as well. They need to know this information. Escrow, what escrow does, how they do it. I'm going to have them break down the process. So for that, I've asked Wendy Pino and Laura. What's your last? I keep wanting to call her Laura. Laura, what's your last?
Laura Brem.
Oh, Brem. Okay, Laura Brem. Is it Brem's Drugs?
Like Bremer Bank. Have you ever heard of Bremer Bank?
No.
It's more of a Midwest thing.
Yeah, that's why I'm from the Midwest. That's like Brem's Drugs. Yeah.
Oh.
Brem's Drugs is in.
Oh my God.
Anywhere. I know it's in St. Paul, Nebraska. So, so they're going to break down the whole process. So now they're with Granite Escrow here in Los Angeles. Actually, you guys are based in Santa Monica.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah.
Wendy is. I've known Wendy for 100 years. We used to own a real estate auction company here in Los Angeles. She used to handle all of our escrows. We have like 600 or 700 escrows a year.
Oh, we've done over 1,000.
Yeah, in a year, and it was a bunch. And so she handled every one of those, and it always amazed me that all this paperwork could get put together. So I'm not sure who to really go to first. So I'm just going to let you guys start answering. Why don't you give? And again, this is geared towards first-time investors or new real estate agents. What does escrow actually do?
We are the middleman, and we are the ones that make sure all the paperwork, as far as escrow is concerned with, is all in, all reports, all the funds. Everybody has done what they are supposed to do per the contract. We ask that the agents that are involved in the transaction email us the purchase agreement and any addendums and counteroffers that are involved with the transaction to us, so we can review and get the ball rolling for the transaction. Then what we do is we send out a welcome letter, and then we ask the buyer's agent for the information for the buyer, where we have to get a hold of the buyer to send them wiring instructions, which are sent through a secured email.
Right.
We do not send those to the agents to protect the agents.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much it's not just liability, but there's so much cyber fraud that the criminals out there are monitoring the real estate agents. Mm-hmm. And they are like watching to see what is happening on certain transactions, and they will intercept emails and turn around and change our emails, your emails, with different emails, different information. So we have to make sure that everything is secure.
Right.
And that's why we don't send anything to the agents with regard to the wires, to protect you, to protect the buyer, to protect the seller.
Has that changed a lot over the last few years?
Yes.
Yeah. Because it seems like, if I remember right, you used to send it to us.
Oh, it used to be easy. It used to be really easy, and I mean, our company is very involved with the FBI.
Okay.
One of our CFOs is involved in a committee with the FBI where he goes to meetings monthly, at least monthly, that talk about how many interceptions there's been and things like that.
So you really want to make sure that when you're looking at an escrow company, you want to make sure you're getting a legitimate company that is going to take. And how do you find somebody? How do you find a legitimate escrow company?
Well, you have to ask questions.
Right.
One of the important questions is to ask if we're SOC 1 and 2.
Stock 1 and 2?
SOC,
Oh,
SOC, SOC 1 and 2
okay.
certified.
Right.
Laura will talk about that a little later in our interview.
Okay.
But it's something that you really need to make sure that the escrow companies are.
Okay. Now, do you mostly work for the property owner or the agents, or you're working for all of them, correct?
We are a neutral party. We
Yeah.
are working for everyone. We're working for the agents, the buyer, the seller, the lender if there is, and also the title company, because we have to gather all this information and disperse it out. And if the title company needs a statement of information from one of the sellers, we have to get that. We have to clear any liens that are on the property. If there's IRS liens, we have to contact the IRS. If there's state liens, if there's child support, we have to take care of all of that. And one thing that's in every contract is that the seller will give information. I'm watching him. That the seller will give clear title.
Right.
And in order for them to give clear title, we have to make sure that all the information is given to the title company so they can research the property, let us know if there's anything that we have to look for. And that's one thing that's on the preliminary title report that we receive.
So you work closely with the title company?
Very closely.
Okay.
And Granite Escrow is a totally independent company. We are not affiliated with other real estate companies. We're not affiliated with title companies. We are a totally neutral party. And one thing that I do tell a lot of my clients that have affiliates is that if they keep writing us out and the other company is insisting on using their affiliate, let them know that you want to use a totally neutral company.
Right.
Because even though they are DBO approved,
Yeah, what's DBO?
It's a
Department of Business Oversight. It used to be called DOC, Department of Corporations, and then they changed it. But even though the affiliated companies, a lot of them are DBO approved, they still are not a neutral party.
Right, because they're working
with another brokerage, and a lot of times that brokerage is giving them something, an incentive
Right.
to use them. So we always tell them, if you're insistent, make sure you want them to use a neutral party.
Okay.
And we are SOC 1 and 2 approved.
Okay.
But once we get the wires in, we prepare an escrow draft and we
Yes.
send it to the agents to review.
Yeah, it starts with get the escrow,
Get the escrow, get
get
title
the
open.
contract signed, title open, send you all the paperwork, send you all the money, you put
We
everything
put it together, we send it out, we're reviewing, we make sure everything is on a time frame. You can't just get your paperwork. I call it homework when I send it to the sellers and the buyers. It's homework that you need to get to us within 5 days. Otherwise, it can be a problem, especially if you have a 30-day escrow. If you have a longer escrow, 10 days at the most. But we've got things that we have to do in a time frame, and there are contingencies.
Oh yeah.
There are contingencies, and a lot of times with those contingencies, we need to help the agents verify certain things and lenders verify certain
And
things.
do you remind the agents when a contingency is coming up?
We send them a contract date sheet, so they
Spells
have
it
it.
out.
It spells it out, and some of my agents, we go back and forth. Well, I talk to a lot of my agents on a daily basis, and we'll talk about, I don't have this in, I need you to contact them, and things like that, because if the first time, let's say a first time buyer, a first time investor, doesn't realize the urgency, their agent needs to understand and push them to say, you need to get this in, this is very important.
And sometimes they'll send a notice to perform, which is a
Right.
document.
Mhm.
If they haven't performed or sent in documentation, or removed the contingency, whether it be a loan or inspection, they will draw a document of notice to perform, and you have 3 days to get or submit or remove those contingencies.
Okay. Now, do you know how many states use escrow? Because I know some states just use attorneys direct, like we did a deal.
Most states are attorney driven. California is escrow driven. Parts of Nevada, parts of Hawaii, and parts of Texas have escrow. I believe all other states are attorney driven.
Okay.
So,
do you have to use an escrow company, or do you have to use an attorney? You wouldn't want that liability, would
well,
you?
you don't want the liability, but in the state of California, yes, you must use escrow. If you must use escrow if you have title.
Yeah.
You must use escrow, and if you're getting a loan,
Yep.
if the lender is requiring title insurance, you're going to want to do escrow.
Okay.
A lot of times on refinances, depending on the type of loan and the loan amount, the lenders will take care of that themselves. But in California, escrow is required on every real estate transaction.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know that. Did I miss anything? Is there anything that you think a new investor or a newer agent might want to hear from you?
One thing that I do want to explain is at the end, end of the transaction when we get loan documents in, not particularly on commercial deals, but if it's a residential and there is a loan, there is loan documents that are issued from the lender, and we as a escrow company cannot prepare the final items for the seller until we have those loan documents, because there is a document called closing disclosure, and per the feds, the dates on the closing disclosure must match the dates on the seller's CD, the closing disclosure. So a lot of times agents don't understand that we have to wait. And unfortunately, we have to wait until we have the final closing disclosure from the lender.
Okay.
But once those loan documents come in, it goes really, really fast.
How many transactions, well, not a rough number, do you do that don't have agents involved, real estate agents involved?
Very few.
Very few.
Very few. We don't like doing FSBOs, that's what they're
Right.
called. And it's not that I have
You do
two.
them.
I
you
have
do
two
them,
of them right
it's
now.
just not
Yeah.
common.
It's just not common, and people think they're saving money when they do a FSBO.
Right.
They're not, because they don't know the requirements
Okay.
for the state. They have no idea what is required by the state, by the city. Their
Oh, the
city
disclosure
reports,
documents.
disclosures, and things like that. I mean, when we do our escrow instructions, we tell them in our instructions, we tell them we are not attorneys.
Yeah, if you got a sophisticated buyer, they could lead a seller down a
That's
path.
correct.
Yeah.
They wouldn't.
Or vice versa.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly.
And
Right.
sometimes they end up relying on the buyer's agent too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, if it's a one
Absolutely.
side.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the buyer's agent don't want anything to do with it. It's like, no, I'm not representing the seller.
Yeah, are you seeing, I mean, it used to be a lot of one agent to get both sides of the deal. Is that kind of changing now? Are you seeing there's more agents? Are you still seeing when there's one side?
Funny that you say that. I just before I came here, I opened up a new one, and it was both sides, same
Oh, really?
agent. Yeah.
Okay.
So it goes back and forth. A lot of real estate companies
Didn't want the
frown.
liability.
Yeah, they frown at that, and they have another agent handle one side.
Okay. Could you explain, you're going to have to talk to us about the SOC, SOC?
Oh,
SOC 1 and 2.
Yeah.
SOC 1, so Wendy did talk a little bit about
Mhm.
that, but SOC 1 and 2 are two sort of certifications, and it's a system or service organization corporate or corporations, and they adhere to certain specifications as far
Okay.
as rules and regulations, how secure companies are, how the processes, what kind of processes or security measures that they're taking to ensure that their services that they're providing are confidential, that, especially for financial services,
Mhm.
that money is safe, your information is safe,
Okay.
and like banks will have this certification, financial institutions, payroll companies, and of course, like escrow companies aren't required to have BSOC 1 and 2 certified, but it's important. It was important for us that
Highly recommended that. Video.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
So we've taken those extra and extensive measures to make sure that we do have those regulations.
Are there many escrow companies that do have that?
Not too many. I actually was checking, and I think I found 3. I
In
could be
California?
wrong. In California, I could be wrong. But most, if any escrow company, most of them are only SOC 1 approved,
Mhm.
if any of them are approved. I have not seen any that are SOC 1 and 2.
Okay. So you can go onto what website do you go to find that? Do you know off the top of your head?
I
can go
don't.
to, like, you can of course Google it, but
Mhm.
it's SSAE. The regulation is under an SSAE 18
Mhm.
proper rule, and you can just put that in and put SOC 1 and 2.
There you go. Surprised you knew that one very well. Paragraph 7.
I'm always Googling it.
Yeah, well, okay. That makes sense then.
Just like reading at night.
Yeah. All right. Anything else that you think our viewers need to hear about? Anything that's key for them?
Well, when actually looking for an escrow company, there's a few questions I feel like you should be asking yourself, or as a consumer, or a buyer, or a seller, or an agent. And one is this company licensed or controlled? Licensed escrow companies are unaffiliated, unbiased, neutral third party. So that's actually what we are. But and then controlled are affiliated. So controlled are usually under a broker's owned, like a real estate broker or just a brokerage.
Okay.
They can also be owned or affiliated with mortgage.
They can't be with title
brokers.
companies, can
They
they?
can.
Oh, they can be
yeah,
too.
With
Well,
title
title
companies.
companies have
Oh, they do.
a lot, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And what kind of do they have? Cyber security or cyber attack insurance? And are they as secure as your bank? That's
Right.
really important, especially if you're handling these. You're giving over your social security number. Sometimes, in a lot of cases, your life savings to buy this house.
Bank information, yeah.
Yeah, and also, how are they storing your information? So afterwards, where is it? Is it stored in a secured facility, or is it just in a pile of papers, at your, or in a drive under
Right.
your escrow officer's desk?
Right.
So those are really important questions to be asking yourself and also your escrow officer.
Okay. All right. Well, if you have any further questions, I'm going to put Wendy's and Laura's information down below so you can connect directly with them, or you can reach out to me and I'll put you in direct contact. So, but thank you for tuning in. And again, if you haven't subscribed, please do so, because we're going to keep doing these videos every week. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you.